Right, I'm back. This time I want to talk about contracts mode. So, right now I am in an escalation, and this is one of the rare cases where you can actually use laptops as an objective. So, the goal in this escalation is to hack the laptop for a certain amount of time. Now, the problem with this is outside of escalations, laptops, safes don't really have any purpose. There's no objectives that you can implement into a contract, and I want to talk about that right now. One of the good uses for laptops that you could bring in that would be absolutely amazing is if you set up a contract that's got a certain amount of targets on the map, but you don't know who the targets are, and in order to get the information for them targets, you need to hack a laptop. For me, I feel like this would add something new to contracts mode. It would definitely make things interesting, so that you're not you haven't just got the targets all lined up and knowing how to tackle them, but also to infiltrate an area that has got a specific laptop that would be guarded, that you can hack to get this information. Now, I think this would be an amazing thing to add in to the game. Laptops really haven't done anything apart from hack this for a couple of seconds and boom, there you go, objective done. But yeah, I kind of feel like Intel objectives would be something that could definitely spice up contracts mode. I feel like laptops there could be so much more done with them if IO would actually just implement that in. I mean, I think right now a lot of effort is going to be going into freelancer, but to be honest, I feel like contracts mode needs a lot of love. This is a change that I would like to see. This is also a change that I would like to see coming to freelancer too, because a lot of people have been complaining about suspects and trying to work out who they are and following them around, and it's such a long process. You could add an alternative approach to freelancer for finding out who the suspect is by adding in laptops and safes as an optional means of working out who that target is, so that when you can eventually get to the laptop and hack it, which shouldn't be easy, that should be a challenge in itself. But if you do get the hack, then all of the other suspects go away, and you're just left with all of the information you need for your actual target. And then that target will turn red in instinct mode. You know who it is, and you can start planning your approach on how to tackle it. Definitely, I think laptops need a more of a role in Hitman right now. So that's one of the things that I would like to touch upon. Okay, so another thing I would like to talk about is certain restrictions on contracts mode. So, really, the problem I've got with the restriction on knockouts, but there's no restriction on emetic. So, when you're making a contract and you don't knock anyone out, you can put a restriction on so that the player isn't allowed to knock out any of the NPCs. But this restriction becomes pointless if you can emetic people. So you get to a certain point in a contract and okay, you're not allowed to knock anyone out. That's supposed to be part of the challenge of the contract. But then that gets completely overwritten by the fact that you can just use emetic on the same NPCs. And not only are you not leaving a body behind, but you're completely removing that NPC from the area, which makes no pacifications absolutely pointless. So if emetic is allowed, then no pacifications are useless. And adding even having this in the category as a restriction is it's just pointless. It's meaningless. This needs changing. So we need some kind of restriction to come in for emetics for this to even be validated. Because right now it's not. And like I say, people are trying to make interesting contracts. They're trying to do them in a certain way that would be challenging. It's just completely overwritten by people that are just running into every contract with a handful of emetics. They're coming in with a seeker, they're coming in with the fucking fart bombs. And no pacifications holds no value while there's no restrictions on emetics. So really, this no pacifications even needs to be changed to you're not allowed to knock out. It says here, do not pacify or subdue anyone in any way, including via melee or using thrown items. This should also include emetic items. You shouldn't be able to tamper with the NPCs with emetic also. And until this change comes in, no pacifications is absolutely pointless. So that's something else I wanted to address. This definitely needs to be changed. Another change that's just recently come in, which I really don't like, and this needs to go back to the old way. In fact, it needs changing completely, is the fact that you can take a sword out of a briefcase and now just put it straight back in. The problem I've got with this is certain people have made contracts in a certain way. You know, for instance, one thing that you could never put in was a battle axe. Now you can just take a battle axe, put it straight in there, and voila, you've just absolutely ruined someone's contract. Because the way this used to work is that you couldn't put big items like this into the briefcase. I mean, you could start with a sword in a briefcase, but you could never put it back in. Now you can put everything back in. And this has just absolutely messed up a load of people's contracts. Because they were made in a specific way that you had to have the knowledge or be able to work out how to get a battle axe from A to B in a suit-only contract, getting a bunch of melee kills with an illegal item that you're not allowed to carry. Now you can just put it in the briefcase. There's a load of contracts out there that have just become absolutely pointless. This is a change that I don't agree with. This needs to go back to its old way. If anything, you shouldn't be allowed to start with a sword in your briefcase anyway. That should always be starting on your back. And for a good reason. Now people will say, but all the other items... When it comes to weapons, weapons can be dismantled and they can fit into a briefcase. This is fact in real fucking life. You can't fold a sword. And you definitely can't fold a fucking battle axe and pop it in the briefcase. The fucking head of the battle axe wouldn't even fit in the briefcase, never mind the rest of it. But the weapons can be dismantled and be placed into a briefcase. The problem with this is that most of the sniper rifles and things like that that get used just pop straight out of the briefcase. There's no animations for assembling or deassembling the weapons. So now we've just got this illusion of this big ass shotgun flying out of a tiny little briefcase. Really, what I would have liked is to have the animations for all of the weapons in the game. I mean, not only would that... I mean, the good thing about the animations is that you'd have to be very careful on where you start pulling things out of your briefcase. You'd have an animation that you'd be locked into for a certain amount of time. When it comes to certain contracts, you know, if you've got to do something with a loud shotgun, people are just pulling it out, shooting someone, popping it straight back in the briefcase within like a second, and then running away from the scene. Where if you were getting locked into an animation, you're in trouble. Because the cops are going to be running, and you're sat there trying to pop this weapon back into a briefcase locked into an animation. For me, that makes the game more interesting. I would have liked to have seen the animations. Obviously, I'm not going to bother with that. That's something I would have liked to have seen. But here we are. That should never ever be able to go into the briefcase. Neither should the battle axe. And the lack of animations for pulling weapons in and out of the briefcase is just give us this mad illusion that, okay, anything can fit into this magical briefcase. This needs changing. This needs to go back to the old way. For me, this is a change that is making the game just too easy, and a lot of contracts have now been made meaningless because of this change. Okay, so another thing I want to talk about as well is specific kills with specific weapons. So, if you're doing melee kills, now you can change any method. You can change it to, okay, so it needs to be a thrown weapon, or you can change it to the actual weapon that you used. Now, you can only really do this for melee. The problem is you cannot do it with pistols, and that is even more limiting, because if you wanted to make a certain kind of contract, like hence you want to use a loud weapon in a certain map on certain targets to add a little flavour of challenge in there. People that are creating on consoles, they can't, they have no control over this. It's either, okay, you've used a pistol or any method. You can't put down, okay, I want to use a loud unsilenced weapon. This is all you get. The power from the player has been taken away way too much in contracts mode. We need this back. Now, this, like in certain contracts or some of the older stuff, or using the third party stuff, you can make this, but this should be available for everyone. This shouldn't even be a thing. I should be able to pick what pistol I want to use, and I should be able to specify that pistol as the pistol that needs to be used in the contract. Or else, what have you got? Just another meaningless silenced pistol kill. You can't do anything interesting. If you want to make a contract that is supposed to be based around using a loud weapon, most people are fucking cheap, and they're just going to bring a silenced pistol. They're going to fucking cheese it. We need the change to come back so that we can pick what weapon we want to use, whether it's a sniper rifle, a shotgun assault rifle, SMG, pistol, the whole lot. People want to make interesting contracts, but they can't do it because they're limited to this. So this is something else that needs to change. We need to bring it back so that we can pick the pistol. Okay, so another thing I'd like to talk about that's been winding me up for quite some time. I mentioned this a while back, and quite a lot of people agreed with me. Okay, so when it comes to exiting a mission, you can restrict the exit. Okay, that's fine if you're going for a certain kind of challenge in a contract. But if I'm to make a specific kind of contract where I want the player to start at a certain location so that the contract is going to be played the way it was intended, I can't do that. So why are we allowed to restrict the exit, but we can't restrict the start? See, a while ago I made a sniper contract. The problem is that a sniper contract is meant to be played from a certain area and done in a specific way, so it actually feels like a sniping contract. But there's no way of restricting the player to start at the area they're supposed to start and play it the way it's intended. Now, I imagine that the reason why you can't do that is because of the way that things unlock within the game. Within the campaign, fair enough, but within contracts mode, that really shouldn't matter because the player's not going to get much out of contracts mode anyway, and it's not going to affect the campaign. So we need a change so that we can actually restrict the starting location. See, I don't want to have to put down in the description every time that for the contract to be played in a certain way and get the best experience out of it, you need to start at this location. There's a lot of people out there that don't read the description and they probably won't get the contract, and the contract is going to feel completely different to the way I intended it to be. So by restricting that starting location, that's going to allow me to make contracts that are supposed to play and feel a certain way, and then people will get it. See, if I start on Sapienza and I make people start from the ruins starting point, now they can get up there and they can see from up there all of the people that they need to take out with a sniper rifle are in sight, but it's the angle that I've done it from that adds the challenge in. Or else you're just going to have people that are going to spawn over in that area. They're just going to run up to them and shoot them point blank range with a sniper rifle, which is what I don't want. So to be able to restrict the start would be absolutely amazing. This would make contracts actually feel decent and play exactly the way I want them to. So this is a change that I would like to see come in. Please, IO, let me restrict the starting location. Okay, so another thing I'd like to talk about, which I think could do with a buff, is the fact that we can still only pick 5 targets. I definitely think at this point in time that there's a lot of people that's, you know, got the grips with the game. I definitely think we could up this to 10. I kind of feel like... God, that music is loud. I kind of feel like the 5 is still quite limiting. I would like to at least be able to up this to 10, so you could kind of make something quite spicy in certain locations. I don't think that too many is too many, but I think 10 is a good amount. In certain contracts, if you got a good idea that will go with the story you want for a contract, 10 would be ideal. Do I think a lot of people will make contracts with 10 targets? Yes, definitely. I think more options to the player the better. So definitely give this a buff. Let us at least be able to mark 10 targets. Okay, so there's one thing I would like to talk about, one last thing, and that is the way that contracts are made. So, as everyone knows, the way you make a contract is by running up to a target. You mark them, and then you kill them any way you want. But having to run up to an NPC and mark them, it poses a lot of problems. See, if you're trying to make a specific target where you would start in a certain location, you want to take the targets out and you want to put a time limit on it. It doesn't really work because the way we're creating contracts isn't the way we're playing them. See, if I have to start in a certain location to run around and tag all of the targets, then I've got to start killing them. Which means this can't be done from a distance, which means sniper contracts are a nightmare. You can't make a sniper contract and then put a time limit on this contract, because by the time you've marked everyone, you've run to the location, then you've done the kills, then you get to the exit. You've added on all of that time you've spent faffing about trying to mark the targets. The best thing that IO could do is to change the way you're actually marking targets. Now, instead of having to run up to women and hit a button to mark them as a target, they should instantly become a target once you've killed them, no matter which way you've done it. Now, there may be a case where you might be using explosives and you get some collateral damage, then don't worry about that. as long as you know the name of the targets that you want to specifically die, then all you've got to do is just unmark anyone that you don't want as a target at the end once you've made the contract. See, this way I could start at a certain location, I could run up to where I need to be, I could just go bang, sniper rifle shot, bang, 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 bang. I've got my targets, I'm going to run to the exit, boom, and that's the time I want to set. Whatever time limit I want to put down. I can do that now because I don't have to worry about starting at the other side of the map, marking all of the targets, and then continuing on with the contract. See, if we're gonna make contracts to play a certain way, we need to be able to make the contract in that way. See, you can't make a contract and then play the contract in the same way. So this way, if you can just kill a target with whatever weapon you want and have them instantly marked as a target, this completely cuts out all of the extra crap. Now I can just start where I want. I can play the contract the way I want without worrying about, okay, I haven't got them marked, or damn it, I've gotten to the exit and I forgot to mark that person, which I do repeatedly all the time. I can't even tell you how many times I start getting stuck into making contracts, and then I start running to the exit and I fucking forgot to mark one, and then I've got to go back in, and then I've got to do it all again. Just have the NPCs instantly become a target as soon as you kill them, and it's going to cut out all of the extra crap. It would make life so much easier for the players, for the creators. This is something that I'm very sure everyone is going to want. Now, I might be asking a lot, especially for a game that's on its way out now, but at the end of the day, I feel like contracts mode is the end game for Hitman. The player needs more power, they need more options. If we're to keep this game interesting as time starts going on, the players need more options, and they need to find ways to make more interesting contracts. I don't think I'm asking for too much. I'm very sure that these are things that can be implemented quite easy if IO wants to put the effort in. Contracts mode is a big part of the game. Once people are done with the campaign, I see now people are playing contracts mode all of the time, and I know freelancers out now, but there's still a lot of people playing contracts mode. Give the power back to the player. That's all I'm asking. Give the power back, give them more options. You'll see people will come back to contracts mode with a vengeance, and they're going to love it. They're going to absolutely be all over it. But that's pretty much all I've got. That's all of the things I wanted to get off my chest. I kind of feel like these changes would... The game would see massive benefit from it. But that's about all I've got. I don't know whether people agree with me or not. It's up to you. I'm out. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Geeky out.